Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? It's a nice, warm October day here in central Pennsylvania. And I went to the Carlisle Comic Con last night. Then I went again this morning. The reason why I went 2 days in a row is because I went there and Ron Friends was there, Mark McKenna was there, and Darren Henry was there. But Dave Sharp wasn't there, and neither was Ron Wilson. And I asked the promoter where they were, and they said, "Oh, they're not here yet. They'll be here tomorrow." And I told him, I go, "Well, I would have come tomorrow if I'd known they weren't going to be here today." So they let me in today so I could go see them. Well, they still weren't there, so I don't know what's going on. For me, as a fan, when I go to shows, you got to be accurate with your guest list, and you got to be notifying the attendees, like us who will be paying to get in there, if certain people are canceling or not going to be at the show. So kind of disappointed about that, but got to see Darren Henry. He does the Sit comics. He has uh, the Blue Baron, which is like a Superman slash Captain America character. He's got Startup with a Flash character, and then he's got like an Avengers kit team called the Heroes Union. I like his stuff, and I told him how much I liked it. Also, I told him because he said he's going to crowdfund this. He says he might crowdfund the next book he does, instead of footing the bill on his own. And I told him, I said, look, if I understand if you're going to do a Kickstarter, I said, but take the and I did a full, how I always do the full Doritos thing. I went through that with him, and he did agree that you got to go where the fans are, and you got to do multiple campaigns or multiple platforms. So hopefully it will. I also told him about how advise him how like to get the word out about your campaigns once you launch, to reach out to John's Longbox and to also to reach out to Andy Smith. So hopefully he will do that. I'm going to make certain I send messages to both those guys so that they're going to be aware of him possibly reaching out to them. I hope they reach out to these streamers, and I hope these streamers will have them on their shows. I'm certain John Longbox will. John wants to talk to everybody. He just loves talking comics. So hopefully. So and but yeah, I had a great time. Like it's rare for Ron Friends to show up at a Northeast show now. So having him show up, and I know why he was there because Darren Henry was there. Uh, both Darren and Mark McKenna, they were busy. Uh, Ron Friends was busy, but he was also doing commissions. So, and when artists are drawing, many times people will be like, "Oh, I'll come back later." They don't want to bother an artist when they're working. So, but yeah, both Mark and uh, Darren Henry were busy with fans, which is always good to see. I hope they and both of them were like uh, Darren had a lot of people buying all of his books at one shot. Mark McKenna was selling a lot of prints. So now, one thing I was talking to Mark because he said so. He was like, because I had him sign some books, and he goes, how many do you have? He goes, I put a cap on 10, and I go, no, I usually do only 7 when I ask someone to sign books, and he's like, good, because he said like he has to charge uh, if someone comes up to him and they want more than 10 books signed, he has to charge. Because he said he had one time, he didn't charge. The guy was like, "You sign books?" He's like, "Yeah." And the guy, I can't believe the audacity of some people. He put a stack of 150 books in front of Mark to have him sign. And I can understand, like, wanting not really wanting to sign, like give be there, like sign books for the fans. But at some point, you gotta put a cutoff and be like, no, I'll sign so many books, but after this, after like so like Mark now does, after 10 books he charges, which I completely support and agree with. So yeah, when he first I go, I only have 7. He goes, okay, that's a good amount, and I do. I've found that when asking artists to sign books, specifically if it's an artist who's not charging, that signing 7 books is like kind of like the sweet spot. It's you're not being too greedy having them sign 7 books, and it makes you really go through and pick out the 7 you really like for that artist to sign. I know a lot of artists who are flippers now. They will get them to sign certain books so they can sell them online. Me, I'm not that. I mean, everybody knows that who watches this show knows that I get books signed that I want to have signed. It's like you guys all know that how big I am. I like the Liberty Brigade. I had Ron Friend sign it. Very happy to speak to him. He actually told me that when he was doing that book, Michael Finn had already had somebody do the layouts for them, and apparently the guy did a great job. And even Ron Friends was like, "Why are you having us draw over these layouts that this guy's doing are great as they are?" But Mike Finn wanted him to do it, so he did the pages. So, but yeah, having him sign it was great. Uh, I am going to be posting a picture of me with Ron with that book after the video is over. So, but no, I had a great time at the show. So, um, they actually even spoke to one the people that are going to be doing the Mannheim show. That's outside of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They're doing it the weekend before uh, Thanksgiving. So, and they're going to have, and I spoke to them, and they are very, very enthusiastic over who they're going to have. Some of the artists they say are going to have aren't on their website page, and I told them, I said, "Are you sure? Because you have them listed on your flyer, but you don't have them listed on their website." So it's very important to keep fans abreast as to who you're going to have at the shows. One person I'm actually very excited to see is going to be Scott Shaw. Scott Shaw did Just a Lot of Animals, Captain Carrot, and the Zoo Crew. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. So, but and I know I'm kind of bouncing around here and working on this piece. But you notice how I'm consistently trying to get the rows of dots to imply the fur and the direction of the fur. So that's the reason why I'm doing it this way. So, big news this week was IDW has changed their logo. And a lot of people are like, well, why? They're in the dumps. It's a dumpster fire of a company. And I looked at it as, well, if you're that much of a dumpster fire of a company, how do you hide who you are by changing their logo? Because they changed the logo completely. That doesn't even look like it says IDW. You have to really look at it and go, yeah, it does. I mean, but you look at it, they've got to hide who they are right now. Their brand is damaged. Uh, I personally feel that rebranding the logo isn't going to fix their problems if the people employed there are still there and they're the causes of, like, let's put it, Heather Antos. She's part of their problem. As long as they continue to employ her, they're going to keep having problems, especially if they keep elevating her. So, so I'm very, but no, I looked at him and I was like, But you look at also as like, how did they let themselves get to this point? And the primary thing that I see is they don't have any in-house IPs. And I think that what they need to do is if okay, put Vaughn in front of the in charge of the company. How are we going to do this? Okay. Well, first thing we got to do is let's look at the IPs we have. Okay. And let's use those IPs to create our own in-house IPs. So we've got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay. So what if we have a story? Make sure it's a good one that shows and debuts the 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 uh, iguana lizard samurais, and that way you have your own, I guess you could say, knockoff version of the turtles, but you have your own IP to work with. Okay, that way you have something that's in house, so you're not having to pay those licensing fees. And okay, let's say you do have those licensing, you have to pay those licensing fees. Okay, we'll use Paramount because they have Star Trek. What other IPs does Paramount have that they aren't using? What IPs can we use that we can almost get for nothing? Okay, and I took a look, and let's say it's the Tomorrow War. Okay, it was on Amazon, came out during the pandemic, and a lot of people liked it. So they're not, as far as we know, Paramount's not doing anything with that, not doing anything with that IP. Okay. Same thing with Cloverfield. We went over both of those movies with Graham during his 31 Days of Monsters. Okay. See what it costs. If those IPs are dirt cheap, okay, get them. Because remember, that's what Rob Liefeld did with when he was doing Maximum Press with Awesome Comics. He had uh, Battlestar Galactica, and he got it for a song. And use that. Use the Tomorrow War. Okay, let's say you do it off. Remember the one guy in the Tomorrow War? He was on his third tour, going into the future because he was dying of cancer. Do a series about his first two tours, and use that to debut or launch your own IPs. Same thing like they have the Gemini Man. Why not use the Gemini Man, maybe early stories, to create your own IP uh, of your own version of a SEAL team, and then you can have an in-house IP that you don't have to pay licensing to. But then, if it becomes popular, use it to launch other titles and other IPs. I think about how Valiant did that. Remember how Valiant started with they had the licensing rights to Solar, the Atom, the Man of the Atom, I think it was. They had Turok, and they had Magnus the Robot Fighter. And they used those IPs to launch other IPs. Remember, they were using those IPs as like kind of their flagship characters, but they used those IPs to launch other IPs that they owned. So it can be done. And by keeping it in house, it keeps their costs down. And then just use the IP while it's hot to launch even more titles. So that's how I see it. But as I said, I understand why they're changing their logo and why the new logo doesn't look anything close to saying IDW. It's very hidden, and it's one of those where it's like if you got to rehab yourself because you got such bad press and such bad management, you got to rehab yourself. How better to do that other than closing down the company and launching a whole new company than to change your logo. So that's how I see it. So, am I right or am I wrong? Give me your opinion in the comments. Make sure you like the video. Feel free to share it and subscribe. So, yeah, I know. IDW's in a tough place. They're just trying to survive, but they got to do something. If they want to survive, they've got to do something. So, because I remember they used to have good stuff. So, but guys, I'm gonna keep working on this. I'm gonna have a great day. There are gonna be times working on this. It's gonna be stressful, but when it does, I'm just gonna take it all one dot at a time.